We'll be breaking down the top 10 flyweights in the flyweight division. This was not an easy list, I'd say, to get into. However, I think it is important to kind of do what Lucas Tracy did, my own personal kind of pound-for-pound list for the flyweights. Guys who I just think are better than the others. And I don't think that the true rankings really reflect that as well as they possibly could. I do have maybe some hot takes personally on this list. Coming in at number 10, I have Charles Johnson. All right, Charles Johnson is a good but not great UFC fighter. But every time I watch him fight, he's really dangerous on the feet, man. He has the worst haircut I have ever seen, but he is a dangerous fighter. Like, we go through, I know he just got knocked out by Alex Perez. He beat Loner Kavanaugh. Guys. Like, do you understand how crazy of a win that is? Think about what Loner Kavanaugh just did to Brandon Moreno and how good he looked, okay? And then, like, I understand that Charles Johnson isn't an elite fighter. However, he's maybe the most dangerous in this division. Maybe other than Manel Cap or, like, a guy like that with slick striking. Like, I mean, he knocked out Joshua Van. Honestly, he could beat anyone in the flyweight division on the right night. On the right night, Charles Johnson could beat anybody. He could knock out Manel Cap if he really wanted. He could knock out Pantoja. Like, he's dangerous, dude. He's dangerous, okay? Obviously, you can't pick him, though. He's one of the only few guys with really one-shot power in flyweight. You rarely ever hear of that, but Charles Johnson does have that. I'm still staring at the worst haircut of all time. It's unbelievable. But, yeah, he's currently ranked 13. I think they should give him a step up in the rankings. I think they should give him one final push. You can see me matchmaking the flyweight division. Go to an earlier video. But, yeah, all right, now let's go to number 9. We got Alsu Amabayev. I think he would be too much for a guy like Charles Johnson just because of his wrestling. He did just win against Alex Perez. Alex Perez, like I said, just did knock out Charles Johnson. Kind of a fluke. But, Asu did get... I remember watching this fight. He got outclassed. I mean, the wrestling wasn't enough, but whenever I watched this fight and whenever I watched this fight, Alsu's wrestling looks really good. It's really high quality, and I think that he'd be a tough matchup for a lot of fighters. You know, whenever they announced him versus Brandon Royval, I really liked the matchup. I thought it made sense ranking-wise, and I also thought it was an interesting stylistic-wise. I think I would have picked Brandon Moreno in the moment, but looking back on it, I still think it'd be a pretty 50-50 fight. I might, just because stylistically I might pick Brandon Moreno, but Asu Amabayev is still a really, really dangerous fighter. And I think, again, he's number 8. I think he needs a push into the top 5, okay? And maybe number 6, something like that. Okay, going on to Kai Kara France. He's number 8. I know he's not currently ranked right now. However, I think if you're going to do a list ranking the best flyweights, you could put Muhammad Makayev. I'd probably have him 4. I would have Muhammad Makayev maybe 3. Yeah, I'd probably have Muhammad Makayev 3. But yeah, it's like Kai Kara France is still... I know he just got whooped against Pantoja. Wow, that was 10 months ago now. But he got whooped against Pantoja. But, I think he's still pretty good. I'm excited to see what Kai Kara France has to do left in this division. Kind of looking at his recent fights, he looked good in the Steve Verseg fight. He lost to Amir Alblasi? This guy got a title shot and he lost to Amir Alblasi? Are we serious? All right. I think there is something to his style. I do like the way he fights. He was able to knock out Verseg, in the first round, which is pretty impressive. I think Kai Kara France is 8. I think he's just a higher skilled level fighter than these two guys before him. Number 7, we do have Brandon Royval. His stock, for me at least, took a huge fall after the Manel Cap fight. And also the Van fight really wasn't the best performance. I wish he did fight smarter, even though it was fight of the year last year. If he fought smarter, he could have won that fight. He just has such a reach advantage over a guy like Van that he could have honestly just jabbed him to death, in my opinion. But Brandon Royval's still... I don't know what he's going to be like after the knockout, I'm going to be honest. It's been 4 months. We've heard no fight news, and I'm not really eager to hear any fight news. Maybe you give him a Brandon Moreno or something like that. He needs to fight down in the division. And I don't really know what that looks like yet. It's just I don't love the position that Brandon Royval's in. Maybe move up to 135. I'm open to that too. He could use his speed. It's not like he's too small. Who's like lower in the rankings, like a someone 10 to 15 and 135. I like that for sure. I think his time is past that 125. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He did beat Tetsuo Taira. That was a close fight though. I think it's just time to move on from him. And I think he still could be pretty elite. It's just tough. I think the weight cut's getting tougher on him with age. Brendan Royval, number 7. He's not at the upper echelon of the division anymore, and I'd like to see him move up and kind of give it one more last shot. Coming in number 6, I have Loner Kavanaugh. He did style on Brandon Moreno, but Brandon Moreno's not ranked on my list. You know what I mean? He did look really good in that fight, though. So, listen, Brandon Moreno used to be like top 3, one of my favorite fighters. I'll always rock with Brandon Moreno, but he clearly just looked washed in his last fight. You can't really put that. You can't. Like, what are you gonna say? And then he did get knocked out by Charles Johnson, but I mean, how good he looked in that Brandon Moreno fight was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So to not have him at least top 6, in my opinion, is a crime. After how good he looked, I would pick him against Kai France. I'd pick him against. Would I pick him against Brandon Royval? No. To be honest, no. I wouldn't pick him against. I would have Brandon Royval at 6 and Loner Kavanaugh at 5. I think he just had a really, really good performance. But I don't know if he's at that upper echelon in that division yet. You know what I mean? I think he has some fun matchups that he can take, though. Like, who would I really want to see him fight right now? I think someone like, I guess an Alex Perez could be cool. I think he should probably fight down just because he just got such a big win. We need to make sure he's not a fraud yet. We need to make sure. And then he beats Alex Perez. I'm open to a title shot or number 1 contender fight. It's just also Flyweight's so stacked right now. It's really tough to force a guy like that up the division. And Alex Perez is coming off a win. I think you could give it to Alex Perez, and he would style on him, and he'd still look good. I think you just need to – let's really check here to make sure this guy's not a fraud. Coming in at number 5 – we have Brandon Royval at 6. Coming in at number 5, we have Kyoji Horiguchi. I'm not on the Kyoji Horiguchi hype bus yet. I'm going to be honest. He looked good against Albazi. Don't get me wrong. He looked really good. He looked good versus Tagiro Umbekov. But, those are good wins. But he beat, a 35-year-old Amir Albazi? Is that an elite win in 2026? I don't think it is. I mean, look what Moreno did to Albazi a year ago. It's like it's a good win. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't look otherworldly. His speed is insane. And he would give people fits. I do think his speed would be too much for Brandon Royval, and I think he'd just be a crafty vet and be able to beat Loner Kavanaugh. I think Kai France would be a tough matchup, though. I think it'd be interesting to see what Kai France could do in the grappling. I also think he could put him away. So I think probably the worst matchups here would be more Kai France. Maybe Loner can match his speed. And I don't know if Royval could use his jab. I mean, if he can use his jab against Van, I don't know how well he'd do against Kyoji. I think Kyoji's just a little bit of a more experienced version of Van. Coming in at number 4, I got Joshua Van. I don't... Gosh, would I pick... No, I'd pick Joshua Van. He's got the age. He looked really, really good. Oh, wow, they haven't updated the website yet. He looked really, really good in his last fight against Brandon Royval. He looked really good, okay? Pantoja even looked like he was giving him speed problems, to be honest. And he looked good against Bruno Silva. You know what I mean? It's like there's still a lot to be left to be seen about Joshua Van other than what you saw in the Brandon Royval fight. We need to check his grappling. Kyoji would be an interesting matchup. I saw on his Instagram page that he just became a blue belt. That's worrying. That's worrying. So I think he would probably beat Kyoji Horiguchi. Not for sure. I think he would. I mean, he already beat Brandon Royval, so you can't really justify ranking it any other way. But yeah, I would have Joshua Van 4. I think Van's really good. I think he's got to grow into his body, though. He could honestly be the 115-pound champ. I wouldn't be shocked if he could make 115 or 120. You look at him in that octagon, he's probably the smallest flyweight on the roster. He could probably make 115. So it's a size issue, guys. Like Tatsuro Taira's not small like that. Tatsuro's like Joshua Van's kind of like pipsqueak maxing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. It's tough. He's got a small build. You know what I mean? So it's not, I don't know. Yeah, I think Joshua Van's number 4. Coming in number 3, we have Tatsuro Taira. I do unfortunately think he's going to be able to beat Joshua Van. I'm a huge Joshua Van fan. The problem is, it's just, he's not, I think he's honestly, his best matchup is Pantoja. In like the top echelon of the division, his best matchups, Pantoja. Cop, and Taira really give him struggles. I think he could have beat Pantoja just because of Pantoja's age. But if Pantoja to get him to the ground, that would be really an issue. I just see Tatsuro Taira to be able to wrestle him and submit him early. I'm gonna be honest. I think he looked good in the Moreno fight. I know he lost to Royval, but Royval's weird, man. Royval's weird. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong here, but Royval's weird. Oh, this was the weird. That was also 2 years ago. Tatsuro Taira was 2 years older. I expect him to be able to develop. I think Tatsuro Taira is going to win the belt next. It's so unfortunate that Pantoja got hurt. Pantoja beats Joshua Van. He could have gone up to 135. And could you imagine a Pantoja versus Piotr Jan fight right now? Like, that would be so hype. And then you could have done the winner versus Marab, and then you could have done O'Malley versus Umar as a number 1. Like, Piotr Jan versus Pantoja would have been hype. I'd pick Jan, but Pantoja earned that, man. Pantoja, and then you could have done as a after he would have beat Van, you could have done as an interim championship, like Cop versus Taira as an interim belt. Super fun. And then if Pantoja wins, he would have vacated. But if he loses, he'd come back down to 125. It's like we were one fight away from having a really, really cool idea at 125. But we didn't get there. And I think Tatsuro Taira's number 3. His grappling's elite. His striking, there's things to be left. There's things to be left on the table. However, I do think he's better than what people think. He's able to beat Moreno on the feet, which I don't know if that's much to say nowadays. Which is so sad to say my goat's washed, but he is. Coming in number 2. I have Alexandre Pantoja. I'm worried about him getting old, guys. I'm going to be honest. I'm worried about him getting old. I think he would be able to piece up Tatsuro Taira on the feet. That's why I have Pantoja above Taira. Having an arm or having an elbow break at that age is tough. It's tough. You know what I mean? Like, that's a joint issue. He's 36 years old, 35 years old. He's never going to be the same. He's never going to be the same. He says he's fine. I kind of believe him to a point. But it's just like joint issues. You don't get over that age. You don't just heal back like that. I think he'd beat Taira. I think he'd be able to stuff the takedowns. And I think he'd be dangerous on the ground with him. And I think he'd be able to piece him up on the feet. Van, I think he would just be able to out-grapple and submit. Kind of the same with Horiguchi. I think he'd be a brawl, though. I don't know. Horiguchi would be a bad matchup for Pantoja. I don't know if Pantoja could get his hands on him. I think the speed would be a huge issue. Huge issue for Pantoja. Because, like, with Van, it's just like a little mouse that you have to grab. Horiguchi's a stocky kind of guy. Van needs to put on weight bad, dude. Van needs to put on weight. But I think Pantoja, so talking about guys that Pantoja would lose to, I think one guy I'd be confident that he loses. But no, God, guys, he looks so good against Brandon Royval. And Brandon Royval's really good. Really good. This guy would knock out almost, if you can knock out Brandon Royval, you can knock out any fighter in this division. Any fight. I would probably take him first round knockout against Pantoja. Maybe second round. Unless Pantoja could get a takedown, which I don't think he could. I think Kopp is that good. I think Kopp is like 19, 18 pound for pound fighter right now. Okay. I'm having Van in the pound for pound just because he's the champ and he deserves it, right? But he's a paper champ. Kopp would knock out Joshua Van. Gosh. Would he? I don't know. He might be able to, yeah. I don't know. That'd be a great fight. Van's not a for sure matchup for him, to be honest. Van's not a great matchup for Kopp. I don't know. That's interesting. I would take Kopp. I would pick Kopp against almost everyone else in the division, though. Yeah, Tyra's such a bad matchup for Van. It's just not good. I'm gonna take Cop. Cop's the best fighter in flyweight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Comment below who you got. Give me your top 5. I'm interested in your top 5. Let me know. All right, see you guys later. Bye.